Greetings, programs. Welcome to Hydaelyn's Heroes, the Final Fantasy XIV podcast, where whether you're a warrior of light or a warrior of darkness, all are welcome on the star we call home. We have a lot to get to. There's a patch 6.15. We're going to talk about Blue Mage and PvP, maybe a little bit about our ultimate experiences up so far again. But before we get to all of that, I'll introduce the co-host, the Emperor Commodus to my Maximus Decimus Meridius, Mr. Piers Harvey. How are you doing, sir?
I'm doing all right, man. That's one heck of an introduction. I'm doing okay. Not too bad. Pretty uneventful week since last week, but no news is good news. So, how you been?
I've been doing all right, man. I've been doing all right. It's been a rough week in the ultimate scene, but we'll definitely get to that. But here, we're going to talk about a few topics, 5 this week. We call them our main story quests. Piers, do you remember how we try to get our main story quests and topics for the week?
Well, we would prefer if we could get some suggestions from you guys out there, in the form of an email or anything like that, because we would love to discuss your topics. Because the ones we come up with are fun, and we enjoy them, but we would still really, really like to hear from you guys, so...
Yes, send in your comments or questions to tarkothgaming@gmail.com. We'd love to hear from you, and we could use your comment or question as one of our main topics for the show. So with that, let's get on to main quest number 1. And our first main quest is lots of side content released with patch 6.15. Have you gentlemen gotten through all of it? And what do you think about this half patch? Well, I'll start off because mine's going to be pretty quick here. I haven't gotten through any of it.
Really?
0% completion. I had a rough week, including being sick on Monday into Tuesday. Shenanigans with the Ultimate group. I made a priority to catch up on Hildebrand. Because I was behind. I was still on the Heavensward one. So I got the Heavensward one completed. I'm about halfway through the Stormblood ones. So I'm going to have Hildy and all the other stuff completed for next week. And maybe I'll give a little rundown on how I thought. But I'll kind of give a general thought on my end. How I've been hearing that these pieces of content have been. So I'm going to start off with a mega story. I heard it's like 1 or 2 quests. It's pretty... in and out and you're done maybe within 30 minutes. It kind of ends a little abruptly, and the thing that kind of has me most curious is that apparently you don't even go to Ultima Thule, where the Omicrons are, so that's all a little confusing to me, but I'm still interested in diving into that lore because I love the Omega Raid series. Second up, Tataru's Shenanigans. Apparently that was real quick. It's just dialogue, teleport, dialogue, teleport, dialogue, teleport. Doesn't seem very interesting to me, but I think this is one that they're going to develop over time. So hopefully as the patches roll in, we get more from her, because she has a bit role, but I'd love to see her fleshed out more. I'd love to see her take more of a center stage within the Scions. Next up, Hildebrand. I love Hildebrand. I love the hijinks. I love the facial features. It's very heartwarming to see all of the content, and just gotten through the GG stuff. I got my GG minion finally, or VV if you went through the story. It's very good, so I can't wait to get to that. I'm in the middle of Stormblood. So far so good. The Beast Tribe dailies, they're dailies, and the dailies here are pretty quick. You can usually get, when you have all 3 for an expansion, you can usually get them done in 30 to 40 minutes. They're not, to use a equivalent, World of Warcraft has dailies that you have to do for your power. The dailies are totally optional. You don't need to do them. They're basically just for experience and glamours and minions and mounts. So that's on the back burner for me. I just got finished with Stormblood Beast Tribe dailies, which they're going to be changed. That's going to be changed. It's going to just be called tribes. So they haven't dropped the beast part yet. And the last part was the custom deliveries. I usually do custom deliveries once all my crafters are 90 through Leaves and through Studium and Crystarium and that sort of thing. So once they get to 90, I'll use the custom deliveries for scripts for endgame recipes. But I know you, Piers, you've done quite a bit of it. Why don't you tell us what you're thinking about patch 6.15?
I thoroughly enjoyed the little stories that we got in 6.15. I think that for the most part, they were really well done. Yeah, they were shorter than I think they could have been, but you can't really expect a whole lot in a half patch. So I do understand, but I mean, I can go into some details, but I don't want to spoil them for you, or I guess want to spoil it for anybody else.
Let's try to keep it spoiler free.
Yeah, I will say that the Omega storyline, it was just a couple of quests, but they were pretty involved quests. I think both of them had you kind of escorting Omega around some places. So you got some cool little interesting dialogue with little toy Omega as he's walking around, and even some fun interactions with Alpha. Because the two of them are buddies, so the two of them are kind of following you around. So, and some really interesting topics to discuss. I will say, not to spoil too much, but Omega's trying to figure out why the final days happened and why certain people succumbed to the monstrification of the Dynamists and some people didn't, and that's kind of the whole story. It's him trying to understand. So I will say some really interesting things were broached about that subject, and I will say that it ended on a very positive note, and they may have weaponized some OST there at the end, and it made me tear up a little bit, and I thoroughly enjoyed it.
That's funny.
But no, it ended really nice, and hopefully we do get to see more of Alpha and Omega. When it comes to Tataru, yes, it's very clear that this is going to be something that's ongoing patch to patch. The story ended pretty abruptly, but at the same time it ended, again, not with spoiling too much. We want to do something nice for Tataru, and we didn't do that nice thing at the end of the story, so it's very clear that we're going to be working towards doing something nice for Tataru at the end of this. So I think she will get some nice characterization here, and we'll take some center stage for the Scions, because she's always been in the background. She's always been a kind of our little cheerleader, so I think that it's fun to see that she's taking a center role for some of these things. But I think Hildebrand was next. You said Hildebrand was great, as always. Really funny, really well done. I think that this one in particular was very fun. You can kind of, again, I don't want to spoil anything, but you can tell by the little preview picture that it's him and Lakeland. So you get to go back to the Crystarium for a little bit. You get to kind of interact with some of the characters there.
Back to the first.
And that was a lot of fun. And he and Nashu and some of the other characters that we've gotten to know, like the little, I guess you haven't gotten to know him yet, Tark, but in the Stormblood Hildebrand, there's this little Lalafell who's like obsessed with Nashu.
Oh, I've met him. Oh,
really obsessed, yeah.
Yeah,
so
soccer extraordinaire.
He's making a return, so he's fun. And overall, again, I'm glad they brought him back. And hopefully we get to see more of that on a regular basis, because again, it's just something fun to do, and usually the Hildebrand quests end with something fun to get, usually an emote or something of the like. So hopefully we get something fun like that.
Yeah.
The Beast Tribes are great. Again, like you said, they're just dailies. They're something you do every week, or every day, I guess, to get the reputation. And like you said, unlike WoW, it's not something that's necessary to do, but it's something that you can use to kind of get some extra levels for the jobs that you might, not have leveled up yet. For me, it's Astro, so I'm doing some Astro leveling on that. But overall, I'm really liking the characterization of these Arcasadra in particular. I'm really liking the little area that we have. It looks like to be something we're building up, kind of like Watt's Anvil for the dwarves, like last expansion.
Cool.
And I'm really liking the whole theme of them being like couriers, and it's just like this group of couriers that are using hippos for some reason to courier around packages and stuff to all over Thavnir. I think that's a lot of fun, and the music is great. So, as always.
Now I heard that one of the initial quests, you get to actually experience or see the hippo mount. What do you think of that?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so yeah, right at the beginning you get to experience it. It's one of those things where, like in previous Endwalker quests, where you will be like thrown on a mount and just automatically be taken somewhere. So you get to
Okay.
kind of see how that goes. But then after that, you get to drive the hippo back. So it's cool. I
You
mean,
excited about that mount?
it's really interesting. I mean, obviously there's going to be some jank to it. I think one of my friends said that the Noctis car from the 15
Uh-huh.
crossover. It's kind of janky when it's just kind of turning 90
Oh
degrees
yeah,
like
that
that. You know,
abrupt like.
yeah, but that's just a problem with the mounts in general. It's not a problem
Yeah.
specifically with the hippos. But I think the hippos are cool. They're cool little fat buddies. You get to drive around, and apparently they're super duper fast, so that's cool.
Well,
But no,
they
overall,
seem fast because you know, like
yeah,
large mounts when you're flying around them, they seem slow, but they're all the
yeah,
same speed. But this one seems fast because it's
yeah.
smaller.
I guess so, yeah. And overall, yeah. I mean, I'm just having a lot of fun with the Beast Tribe so far. I'm rank 2. I didn't do the because you can do 2 on the first day, right? If you get on right after
Yeah.
the patch goes live, and then you get that, and then when the reset happens on that day, you get another batch. So I didn't
Sure.
do that first reset, but I am rank 2, and you get a minion out of rank 2, so I got
Oh.
that. Really cool.
Oh.
Yeah. So all you out there who haven't done it yet and you're apprehensive about it, it's a lot of fun. The quest line to unlock it is a little tedious. It's some stuff in Thavnir you got to do, but once you get that done, you know it's just something you can do to get some extra levels, and it's a lot of fun. So definitely cool. And then
Custom deliveries.
the custom deliveries. Yes, I haven't started the custom deliveries yet,
Okay.
but I have all done except for the latest one from last expansion, which was I think it's a guy in the
Yeah,
firmament.
it's one of the counts from Ishgard.
Gotcha. Yeah, I did the dragon in the firmament.
Mm-hmm.
That was fun, but I did not do the that
Okay, so
count
you're behind. You're behind one,
by one.
and
Yes.
I'm like almost at last rank of him. But again, once I hit 90 with all my crafters, it's custom deliveries all day to get those scripts. So
Yeah, exactly. But yeah, I mean, the siblings' mom is cool. I guess she's kind of got that, should I say, MILF energy. I guess some people
are you
want to put her
planning?
in bikinis. I don't know. It's whatever. I have like obviously since I've done them all, I've got like Kurenai unlocked, but I didn't put her in anything. I don't know. It's just I guess if you want to dress them up, it's fun. But for me, it's just kind of like the story. I enjoy the story and getting to know the character a little better.
I actually put Kura and I in some heavy armor.
There you go.
Just
just
like
bulk
why
her up.
not? Because I can't wear it like is my main job. So when I go there, I can see it like, oh, that's some cool armor.
Exactly. It's just like a portable mannequin, or not a portable one, but a mannequin you can put up somewhere, and then you can just see what the gear looks like. So,
With this being Alphino's and Alice's mom, I mean, isn't bikini like the way to go?
I guess if you're into that, I mean, that's fine. I think she's
mom
cute,
energy, right?
But, yeah, sure, but I don't know.
This
We'll
is
see.
why we can't
But
glam Y'shtola.
yeah, that'd be pretty bad. But
And we'll get to that later too.
we will get to that. But no. Overall, the content provided for patch 6.15 was good. Of course, I'm always looking for balance changes, but they don't usually do them on 0.5 or 0.5 patches anyway. So I was hoping maybe we get some buffs and nerfs, but I think it was only to some very, very little amount of PvP.
They walked
Nerfs,
back a
the ninja,
couple.
I think.
Well, they walked back a
And then some
couple of
Black
Black
Mage
Mage
stuff,
stuff.
right?
Yeah, because
Yeah.
they overtuned Black Mage to all get out. So they walked a little bit of Black Mage back, but yeah. Overall, do you think that maybe they should do some more in these half patches, or do you think it was just right or less? Because I mean, we're gonna have 2+ months before we have the next major patch.
Oh God, I hope it's more than 2 months because of Ultimate, but we're not going to go there. Yeah, of course, I would like to see more, but being realistic, I guess I'm happy with what they gave us. I know that we have some exciting things coming, like on major patches. I know we've got like island sanctuaries coming and stuff like that. So I know that's not. I don't know if that's going to be something they're going to put. Yeah, I'm excited for that, and hopefully hopefully we get the new deep dungeon. I don't know if I've heard much about that.
Yeah, they haven't.
They've
Part of me thinks that they don't put that out until the 0.3 patch, but I could be wrong.
But I mean, it's fine for a 0.5 patch. I don't think that there was anything super duper missing or anything, unless you can think of anything. But I had a good time with it. But I did pretty much get everything done in one day, obviously, except for the daily stuff like the Akosadra and the
it's because that's
custom stories. Yeah,
constant over the next few weeks. So, all right, cool beans. But now we want to hear from you all. Did you think 6.15 was a good patch? Did you enjoy the content? Do you think it was too much, too little? Drop a comment down below. Tell us what you think. And with that quest complete, let's adventure on to main quest number 2. Piers, what's main quest number 2?
So, main quest number 2 is courtesy of an interview with Japanese site Gamer. Yoshida was asked about blue mages in PvP, and even gave his thoughts on a battle royale mode. Would you two be down for this type of content in Final Fantasy XIV? Yes, that was a very interesting interview with Yoshi P, and specifically about the blue mage PvP. I think it is interesting that they were actually looking to go towards its own custom mode instead of just trying to implement PvP into the current like Crystalline Conflict, the PvP overwork that they did. I think it's a super interesting thing. Obviously with the Blue Mage lore, it's kind of all about at least the Blue Mage that we deal with, and the kind of the mentor that we deal with is kind of like a guy in an arena, right? And there's the mass carnival. So we're already going in and we're already like fighting monsters and stuff for a crowd. So I think it would be thematic if maybe there was some sort of battle royale, right? Where they get a bunch of blue mages and they duke it out for a crowd, for entertainment. And I think that'd be super thematic, and it would obviously fit really well with the blue mage theme. I said theme a whole lot. Anyway, but obviously people are going to meme on battle royale because it's kind of been the everybody's doing a battle royale lately. There's Fortnite.
It's been the game content for the last 5 years. Like Fortnite made it popular, then everyone wants to make a copycat. And I know Square's now has a battle royale with First Soldier, on mobile devices, and that could be a good shell to put into Final Fantasy XIV. I think, I don't want to play 7, the First Soldier, because it's all mobile, and I tried the beta and it was kind of janky.
Of course.
But something inside 14 really kind of intrigues me, both in Blue Mage in a battle royale kind of setting. The way he was describing is that you really wouldn't start out with many spells, and it's kind of a war zone kind of map. So you have a big map and it starts shrinking down little by little, and you go around the map looking for supplies, which in this case would be your spells that you would use to eliminate other players. So that really kind of interests me. But taking it a step further in my thoughts, like what if you did that with the PvP we have now? You have the kits and the kind of the compact nature that we have, and put that in a battle royale, the Warzone type, and make 4-man squads, and maybe you have pre-mates and stuff, and that way you go around the map. I don't know how you would get supplies or what that would look like. Maybe it'd just be like +1 to damage or resistance or whatnot, and then last squad on the map wins the match, and you have ladders and rankings and stuff like that. I think that's something like that would intrigue me. I'm not a big battle royale person. I've watched a little bit of Warzone stuff, and it's always been kind of intriguing, but I never wanted to play it. But something in 14 of this nature, I think I would definitely dive into and give it a try.
Yeah, I agree with you. I think that there is something there. Even like what you said, I think they could probably even not reuse, but they could repurpose some of the frontlines maps, right? I think they're already there for large scale PvP. You can scatter supplies, like you said. It could even be like potions or ethers or like Phoenix Downs. You could go pick up and then you use them for whatever you need to use them for, or anything like you said, damage increases or whatever. I think that there is something there for sure. And it seems from the interview they didn't completely scrap the idea altogether. So it could be something that they're looking to do in the future for future PvP content. So I'm super interested. I obviously am someone who I really do enjoy Blue Mage. So I do think that they could do something with Blue Mage for PvP.
Nice.
And any Blue Mage content I'm super excited for. So, but overall, I would be into something like Battle Royale, I think. But like you said, I'm not into it either. I've never loaded up Fortnite a single time, or Apex or Warzone. So I'm not sure how all that goes. I'm super competitive, so I feel like if I would die a lot and just get salty. So, but that's just me. But
that's something where, you have crystalline conflict and, that you queue in solo. If you're going to have, a squad based, and maybe they won't make it squad based, maybe it'll be a solo thing. They are trying to balance the jobs. So it's not, healers are a subgroup. They're trying to make them kind of equal on level footing, which I appreciate. That's what kind of drives this role-less based PvP. But I would love to have a squad, but if they're going to do squads, you got to be able to do a pre-made
for sure
squad kit. It's okay in Crystalline Conflict. I wish there was a solo queue and a group queue for Crystalline Conflict and have kind of ladders for both. If you do a squad based, you got to be able to do a pre-made group. I don't want to trust my rankings in a battle royale squad based with just a bunch of randos.
Yeah, I don't blame you. That's definitely something that they would need to bring back the grouping for sure. And they have the structure for it, right? The whole PvP group thing was a thing for a long time. So, and
it was there for Feast. It's not there for Frontlines or anything like that, because that's super large scale grouping. So it really wouldn't work out there. But this is all just kind of encouraging. They keep talking about it. They keep working on PvP. So I'm excited that they are making PvP. They're building it up in this game, where it used to be just bottom of the barrel, an afterthought in 14. Like, if you did PvP, it's like, okay, well, good luck on your hour queues. Now, the queues are quick. People are playing currently. So yeah, I'm hopeful for the future for PvP in 14. I want to see more of it, and I hope they do a good job with it, because I'm currently happy with what we got so far.
Yeah, me too, for sure.
All right, but now we want to hear from you all. Do you enjoy PvP? Do you enjoy Blue Mage? Do you want to see Blue Mage PvP? Drop a comment down below. Tell us what you think. All right, with that quest complete, let's adventure on to main quest number 3. And main quest number 3 is, during the gamer interview, Yoshi P was asked about character development, most notably regarding Y'shtola in patch 6.1. Do you agree with Yoshi P on the limits of characters' backgrounds and story? All right, so I'm actually going to go to that interview and read the little bit of excerpt here. Whoop. Where did that go? Oh, there it is. Okay. Yoshida on that Y'shtola scene. I really was at a loss what to do. There was a part of me that felt, aren't we getting a bit carried away here? One point we pay attention to is not to turn Y'shtola into a joke. For sure, within the community, you've got things like people calling her mummy, but it would be wrong to indulge that. Properly speaking, we should handle Y'shtola's character properly, and I don't much like drawing on this one character trait. So I felt this is the breaking point, and we shouldn't go further than this. By the way, I hear Y'shtola's voice actor, Kayano Ai, performed a lot of different takes on this scene. I'm thinking we should stop breaking the characters any more than this. This time ended up with Y'shtola having a magical girl phase where she was self-consciously cute. All right. I don't know how to feel about this, because Y'shtola is my favorite Scion. I like having more story bits. I love pushing the boundaries of characters and their histories and their personalities. When you stop kind of testing those, I feel that they kind of become stale. And maybe it's just an issue where they build on their personalities from expansion to expansion. kind of like how we had Thancred during Shadowbringers, kind of went from, his ninja solemn phase in Stormblood to more of a daddy figure to Rin. I don't know. I really like Y'shtola. I like to learn more from her, more from all the Scions. I don't know. This kind of rubbed me the wrong way, Piers. What do you think about this whole thing?
It's interesting because, obviously these are their characters, so they're gonna write them how they want to. But
Sure.
and I suppose also with Y'shtola, she's kind of become the unofficial mascot of Final Fantasy XIV.
Well, hell, she's got her own big doll. It's worth hundreds of dollars coming out.
She had a big old doll. I mean, she was in the Dissidia NT. She was, she's representative of the series. So I think in a lot of ways they want to be careful with how they characterize her. And obviously, indulging all the people that call her mommy is probably not the way to go. But I understand where you're coming from. I guess it's hard to say because you don't want your characters to become just tropes at the same time. Like you don't want them to just devolve into the trope of being, like you said for Thancred, the sulky kind of like that kind of like drab kind of thing. But then he got a lot of development in Shadowbringers, and that's why he's my personal favorite Scion. He always has been. I've always been a fan of that like debonair, devil may care kind of guy.
Yeah, but if you think about, just to touch on Thancred, he's had one of the biggest arcs, starting from back in 1.0, the big ladies man, to kind of ladies man, but also focused on the mission, to very sulky, maybe a little guilt ridden with what happened in that tunnel, to the daddy figure in Shadowbringers. And he didn't really get much in Endwalker, but I'll let you continue though.
Yeah, I guess the way I took what Yoshi said is that they don't want to push characters too far out of their characterization. And what I mean by that is like they don't want, like if Estinian just came out and all of a sudden he was super giddy or like super cutesy or something, it would just be so out of character for him. Sure. And I guess with this Y'shtola scene, with her being a magical girl and splish splish or whatever, it just kind of like put her like it kind of characterized her as like a little pretty princess when that's not really what they're going for with Y'shtola. But again, at the same time, like this was something she developed in the past. This was when she was a little girl, and when she was a little girl, she obviously was into like magical princesses and all that stuff, and that's perfectly okay. So in the story, it's obviously portrayed as something that makes sense. Yes. So I do think that they could do things like this with the characters, and I don't want them to be too afraid for them to go out of the box with these characters, but they also don't want to go too far, and I think that's the point of what he said. Personally, that's what I took away from it.
Okay. Yeah, it initially rubbed me the wrong way. Hearing you talk about it has swayed me. I am a person that can be swayed. I can change my opinions. You get more information. It's all good. But yeah, I want more out of these characters. We've been with them for 10 years now, so they're part of me and my lore because I'm playing this game almost every day. I just, I want more stories from them because that's what I'm here for. That's why I pay my sub, is for the stories. Combat's second. Anyways. But now we want to hear from you all. Do you enjoy Y'shtola's story? What do you think of Yoshi's comments? Drop a comment down below. Let us know what you think. And with that quest complete, let's adventure on to main quest number 4. Piers, what's main quest number 4?
So Yoshi P has indeed been making the rounds for interviews, it seems. He spoke with the producer Matsui of Final Fantasy XI on the We Are Vana'diel website and said there would be new jobs never before seen in Final Fantasy. Does this make you excited? Of course. We're going to talk about new jobs in Final Fantasy is always an interesting topic to talk about because they're obviously the most exciting things about any expansion. Sure. So everybody is always speculating on what they're going to be, how they're going to play, all of that stuff. And in that interview, he was obviously discussing it with the guy who runs Final Fantasy XI, and they both kind of agreed that introducing new jobs is very difficult because you don't want to step on the toes of any existing jobs, and you also want to make sure the balance is correct. And you don't want jobs that feel superfluous or that feel like they don't really belong, or that they don't have a place, or that they're taking the place of another job. So it's a very delicate thing, I can absolutely believe. When it comes to new jobs in Final Fantasy, of course I'm excited because they could go any number of directions. Obviously, with Reaper was a brand new job to the Final Fantasy series. So was Astrologian. So they've done it before, and they've obviously pulled it off really well. I do feel like there are still some jobs out there in the Final Fantasy series that they could pull from. There are jobs even from 11, like Beastmaster. Maybe it's a limited job, or a job like Ranger, or
limited jobs.
Puppet Master. Look, I don't want them to be limited jobs, but thinking about Puppet Master in Final Fantasy is a little funky. In Final Fantasy 14. Or like Rune Fencer. That was a brand new job to the Final Fantasy series that they added, at least to my knowledge, that they added. There's similar jobs in like 3, but it was never called Rune Fencer as far as I know. And that was a new tank job in Final Fantasy 11. So they could do something like that. But I know you've been holding out for Time Mage for a long time.
Oh my God. I would love Time Mage, and I would love Viking. And Viking could just be dual wielding hammers.
Yeah,
it could be a two-handed hammer too, but a dual wielding hammers, that would be dope too. We need hammers in this game, okay? And Time Mage would be dope too.
Yeah, I think that they could definitely do something like that. I think another dual wielding job would be really cool. Obviously with them making a hammer for the newest warrior axe from Asphodelos, it makes me nervous that they're not going to do two-handed hammers anytime soon, which is depressing.
Very depressing, because we saw a two-handed hammer in 2.0.
Yes.
We saw it in 2.0. Why am I forgetting his name? Sid's buddy. Nero.
Oh, Nero.
Nero. He had a big fancy hammer with spikes on the end of it. It was dope.
Yep, and then there was Gaia in Shadowbringers, who had a big old hammer. Mm-hmm. So I think they could do something with that. Berserker, there was all the jobs that they showed during the Heroes Gauntlet, like Necromancer, Berserker, Thief. So they could, they have ideas they could do, but of course I trust them with making their own original jobs because they pulled it off before. Sure. So if they could do it 2 times before, they can do it again.
Yeah.
But that's where I stand, at least. So of course I'm excited for new jobs, and the fact that they are even saying multiple jobs, I think at some point I'm nervous they're going to go down to 1 new job and expansion, but I think it's just going to happen eventually. If this game's going to go another 10 years, I can't see them pumping out 2 jobs every single expansion. I think that's crazy. But I don't know. How do you feel about that?
Let's see. 10 years, that's 5 expansions. You do 2, that's 20. That would put us at what? 30?
Something
30
like
battle jobs?
Crazy.
That would be insane to balance. That would just be... So I am fully expecting them to go to 1 job. And it would be 1 job. It would be a DPS, of course. If they ever needed to do a tank or a healer again, that's when they would bring back 2 jobs. But at some point, they're probably just going to go down to 1 DPS job per expansion. I took this and was like, well, no duh. At some point, we're going to run out of classic jobs that are going to fit thematically and fit in this ecosystem of jobs and balancing. And I'm going to point out that what he said here, job names are especially tough. After all, there's no point if a job is similar to its namesake in name only. Its gameplay experience needs to match their pre-established design too. And basically what that's saying is, if it doesn't match, if it does match the design, but it's too similar to another one, well, what's the point of having that job? So they've got to make something unique, but that also fits its theme. If it doesn't, then, you might as well just axe that job from being ever in this game. But I think there's so much that they can do. My issue is long-term balancing so many jobs. And I know, like World of Warcraft, you got all these classes, but each class has their own tree that is just insane for them to balance, to the point where there are, job tree combos that are just not playable in any of the content because they're just so down that list that it's absolutely insane to balance. So I know that at some point we're going to have original ones. I'm fine with that. I love the takes on the ones that we've gotten. I know Sage was a little bit weird because it wasn't like the Sage that I thought. Sage was kind of a all-around caster, both DPS and healing, kind of like Red Mage. But I understand why they did what they did. I think it's fine. I love Sage. I love its kit. It's a great healing job, but this was kind of a no-duh to me. Anything else from this that you wanted to point out?
I think that's about it. Only so much we can do to speculate about new jobs until we get some new expansion info. So,
all right,
look forward to that.
So just to flesh it out a little bit more, what would be your top 2 jobs that you would want to see come to the game? And not limited.
That's a tough one, man. They've done most of the jobs that I was really excited for.
Cool.
I guess cool. Maybe something like, because they did a Scythe Wielder, and that's what I really wanted for a long time.
Nice.
Yeah, they did Reaper. So I guess, like I said, I think Rune Fencer would fit very well. They could do something. Yeah, Rune Fencer would be cool. They could do something like Geomancer. I know that's been something they've talked about for a long time. There's Geomancers in the lore.
I see Geomancer as a caster DPS.
Yeah, I think they could pull it off. It's a really strange job in 11. It's a very buffy job. It's almost all buffs, and obviously in 14 they don't have anything that's like a pure support class. So they could do something like maybe like a DP, like a caster, like a dancer caster, something like a sure. Caster that brings a lot of support. Don't step on Red Mage's toes though. But
Red Mage has its own pluses.
Yeah, it does.
But yeah, maybe it could be like the dancer of the caster job, maybe.
Mm-hmm.
That'd be kind of cool.
Yeah. So I guess yeah, that's about it. Unless maybe some like obscure ones like Templar, or from like Final Fantasy Tactics or something. But Tactics Advanced, at least. There's some cool ones you could pull from there. There's a lot of jobs in that game, but
sure.
How about you? Like, what are you looking for? I think you said Time Mage.
Time Mage, absolutely, and that could fit that role of like a dancer, where it's more about the raid's DPS and buffing the raid. With haste, it's maybe a little bit of speed plus like a damage buff, or a slow something to help the raid as a whole. I think Time Mage could fit in that little niche perfectly, because it's really all about the damage with the caster DPS. With the exception of Red Mage, they do have a buff, and they do have the bubble. But I feel, Red Mage could maybe slot up into that bard kind of role, and then Time Mage is the dancer equivalent. And then I would love to have Viking, and then have it dual wield hammers, and it could use the scouting gear. So then we'd have a second scouting person.
A scouting, we definitely need a second scouting. That's coming for sure, I think.
Yeah.
So
that's what I would like to see. But we want to hear from you all. What do you think about possibly brand new jobs to Final Fantasy XIV? Nothing that's ever been seen in Final Fantasy. And maybe let us know what your top 2 or 3 jobs that you want to see come into the game are. Drop a comment down below. Tell us what you think. And with that quest complete, let's adventure on to main quest number 5. Piers, what is our 5th and final main quest?
Well, it's a pretty personal one to you, Tark. Your static group for Dragon Song's Reprise seems to be really stuck. What do you think is causing your problems, and what can you advise others that are thinking about starting an ultimate for the first time?
Okay, so
I mean, I know in Discord you said some things, and it's a real shame, but I'll let you field what happened, because of course.
Okay, so
the world needs to know.
It's worse than even that main topic leads to suggest. We're not stuck. The group just entirely imploded. I'm not going to go into specifics to leave people out of it. But some tough choices needed to be made as far as the roster. There were some personal friendships there, and instead of hurting people's feelings, the group was disbanded. So that's very unfortunate. But what I kind of want to get into, as far as maybe people that are wanting to get into Ultimates for the first time, I was there, Piers was there. We've all had our first Ultimates, maybe not understanding what we were expecting when we get out of it. So I kind of want to get into Tark's top 5 essentials for Ultimate raiding. And these are just general ideas, kind of put you in the mindset. They can be applied to both Savage as well as Ultimate, but it's a little bit more stricter to Ultimate. So let's start with number 5. Find a team that fits your goals. And when I talk about that, I'm saying, you want to maybe have a time frame. I want to get this done in 2 months. So that puts, kind of a sense of urgency. Okay, we got 2 months to do this. You want to find a group that fits that. You also want to find a group that kind of fits your personality. If you're kind of a goofy person and you don't mind kind of BSing, during an Ultimate raid, but you still get stuff done, you kind of want to find a group that's, kind of accustomed to that and is okay with that. Otherwise, you run into an issue where if they're serious, but you're goofy, maybe they're not thinking that you take it seriously. Other way around, if you're serious and you have a kind of a goofy group and there's a lot of chatter going on, they're still getting their stuff done, but you're getting distracted, maybe that's not the group for you. So that's what I mean by finding a team that fits like you and your goals. Number 4, communication. I can't harp on this enough. Communication is key. Not only do you want to be keeping the comms clear for call outs and stuff, but you also want to communicate, okay, I died. How did I die? If you didn't see it, maybe someone else did, or if you saw something during this raid, if you're like new progging something, you got to be able to communicate what you saw to the rest of your group so that everyone can learn from it. And also that if you died, maybe they can help you not repeat that mistake. So communication is key. Number 3, please know your job. Like, I've seen too many people dive into Ultimates for the first time, not understanding what Ultimates are. And maybe they haven't even, to unlock it, you gotta complete Savage. So there's gotta be some instance, but you should know your job pretty much inside and out, know what it can do, what it can't do, what's best for certain situations, particularly. Like during my initial Ultimate, I didn't really use excogitation, and that was relayed to me several times disparagingly. But during my second Ultimate, I really learned my kit and moved on to knowing where to place these things as far as playing in this Ultimate, this high difficulty piece of content. Number 2, do your research. So this is not going to apply to people that are playing it on day 1 or day 2 or even, in the first week. But if you're outside of that, especially if you're off content, do your research. You got 7 other people. Learn what's coming, especially if you're getting up to the next phase of a fight. Learn what the next phase and maybe the phase after that is like, so you're not going in blind and wasting 7 other people's time. It's imperative. There's videos out there, it's everywhere. There's toolkits out there. They're not third-party tools. They're just information, and they help you get that content down quicker and with less hassle. Oop. And finally, number 1, consistency. You want to be consistent both in your play, your communication, your tone. You want to, if you're doing something like dropping a heal at a certain time, you want to make sure that that's what you're doing every single time. There are going to be some RNG elements to every fight, but if you're consistent in your play and what you're doing, that's going to help you progress to the next part of every fight. And then you're consistent with that part, you move on to the next part. So that is Tark's top 5. Find a team that fits your goals, communication, know your job, do your research, and consistency. Piers, what do you think about my list? Is there anything that you would add or subtract, or what do you think of the 5, or would you reorder anything, or would there be something completely different?
So is it listed from number 1 being the most important to
Yes.
number 5 being the least?
Yes.
Okay. I would say that finding a group that fits your goals is probably number 1,
Okay.
because that's something that needs to happen. Like as soon as if you want to put your feet on the ground, you need to find a group, obviously, right? So
Sure.
when you're looking for a group, you want to make sure you find a group that you plan on staying with long time. When it comes to, like you said, this can apply to Savage as well as Ultimate, but when it comes to Ultimate, there's a particular difference when it comes to the level uh, of seriousness, I guess.
Sure.
It's hard to explain. I suppose you could even go with, like, even with Savage, if you want to join a hardcore group like Week 1 or like World First Prog, then yeah, it's going to be the same mindset as an Ultimate group. And not every Ultimate group has to be super duper hardcore or anything like that. But when it comes to Ultimate and looking at a group, like you said, finding a group that wants to fit a timeline, getting it done within a certain amount of time is super important. Most of the time, Ultimates are in between Savage cycles, right?
Yes.
So that's kind of your time limit, because not a lot of groups want to go past when the new patch comes out, because a lot of groups are getting back into Savage and spending a lot of time progging that. So
Yep.
not a lot of groups want to do both Ultimate and Savage at the same time. Some groups can. Maybe you can find a group that will, but for the most part, there's that. So when it comes to a time limit, you want to find one that fits what you want to do. And obviously, times are a really important thing. You know, you find a group that you know for a fact you can make those times every single week. If you want to be consistent with your timing, because most groups do not want to try to find reps for an Ultimate, and because every time you're finding a rep, you're going to be reprogging, and when you're reprogging, you're not progging, and that's not good.
Yeah.
So that's really important. And then, like you said, again, finding a group that fits your personality is important too. You don't want to go into a group that's super hardcore and super hard ass, and they are really strict, and maybe you made a mistake and you feel really bad and they're like putting you down about it. You don't want a group like that, because it's not going to do.
Well, that's your personality too, and that's going to fuel you to do better.
Sure. Yeah, there's definitely that. So I think that's number 1. I do think number 2 definitely is consistency, like you said. I think being consistent about mechanics is the most important thing you can do. I think I mentioned this last episode if you wanted to check that out. But I definitely said that consistency is key when it comes to Ultimate. Mechanical consistency is huge, because these fights are long marathons, right? They're not sprints, they're marathons. So when you get really far into the fight, you want to make sure that you can execute these mechanics, because nobody wants to go back 10, 12, 15 minutes into a fight, go all the way back and start from the beginning just because you screwed up a mechanic that you could have, like you said, done your research on. So consistency is really important there, for almost every facet of Ultimate. But I think you pretty much nailed it with your list. I can't think of really anything else to add. But
so I have 5 team that fits your goals. You put that at number 1, consistency number 2. You put research number 3, know your job 4, communication
and
5.
Then communication. You know, I think all of these could be number 1 depending on what
this is
you
1A,
want, right?
1
Exactly. Yeah, these are
1B,
all incredibly important.
1C. Okay.
Yeah, obviously, like, even know your job. Like if you're doing Savage, you can probably bring a job you're not super great on, and you can, like, for me, like Reaper was my first time doing a job other than Red Mage in a Savage cycle was this expansion with Asphodelos, and I was on Reaper, and I was a little shaky, and going through Savage, I was able to really master Reaper, and now I'm at a point where I feel like I can really do well on that job. But when you're playing Ultimate, you want to make sure you're bringing a job into it where you know that you could kind of go brain dead on it and
Yes.
focus on doing mechanics instead of doing your rotation, but at the same time still do your rotation. Like on Red Mage, I can completely turn my brain off, and I can keep doing damage, but still be focusing on mechanics. And you want to make sure that you're playing a job where you can do that. Like for me, if I was going in on something like Dragoon or something, like I don't think I could. I guess with repetition, I probably could, but
yeah,
like
you
I would
could get
hold
there.
the group back so much.
Oh yeah, absolutely,
you know?
you would. Yeah, you're that noob.
Yeah,
it's gotten to the point for me in Dragon Song on my stage that, you know, the first phase and a half is all just muscle memory. It's like, yep, I'm doing this at this time. Yep, I'm doing this at this time. Okay, mechanics. This is where I need to be. This is what I need to do while this mechanic's happening. It's gotten to be, you know, second nature as far as the stuff that I've seen already. So that's part of, you know, the being consistent part too. So
yeah, and you know, obviously it sucks what happened to your group. Like I feel really bad about that. But
good news though. Good news. I have found a new group already. It was just maybe an hour or two before the show, but I found a new group. Unfortunately, I wasn't able to bring the friends that were, you know, considering joining my previous group with us. They just had a solo spot, but the times fit. They're exactly where I'm at in the progress, so I'm not holding them back. They're not holding me back. So good.
That's great news. I mean, like, this honestly could have been a blessing in disguise for you, dude. Like, honest to God, like watching you kind of struggle through, it has been kind of painful. I think you could do well with a group that kind of fits your skill level, you know, like and fit, you know, it meets those 5 things that you were talking about, because you know, like your last group was kind of super inconsistent and bringing in reps all the time. And like I said, with replacements, you're just not going to get a lot of good prog. So,
and who knows, maybe this group is also, because again, they're still at the same point that I was at. So maybe I'm the replacement of the person that was inconsistent. Well, I mean, We'll see. I'll see on Sunday, this first raid night. They raid Sunday, Monday, Tuesday, kind of late-ish. So, but I'm excited to get back in there. I'm glad I'm not going to be, you know, burning a whole week looking for a new group. So,
yeah,
I guess or the Dread Pug. Oh.
Right, number 6 on your list could be knowing when to bail from a group. That's just not happening. Because look, a good friend of the channel and my girlfriend Winnie, that poor woman, progged about 200 hours of tea. With a group, and only got to Alexander Prime a few times. So they were mostly doing Living Liquid and BJCC prog for 200 hours, and she should have bailed on that group. So sometimes you just need to look at your group, look at what they're doing, and after a certain amount of time and giving them a certain amount of patience and all that, maybe it's just time to go your separate ways. So, especially with something like Ultimate, that's just not going to get any easier until, you know, the new dungeon gear comes out, you know, 2 patches later or whatever, and even then it's minusculely easier, like a little tiny bit.
Yeah.
So, like, sometimes it's just best to look at your group, like even yours, Tark. I know you were even thinking about maybe looking for another group. So
yeah, I was this close to bailing. We had 18 raid nights, and we were just barely getting. I mean, we still hadn't finished the first main mechanic of Nidhogg Kyle. Yeah. So, like, I was this close to just bailing. Was getting with the raid leader, like, are we going to make some changes? He decided to go another way. So, and maybe this is something kind of number 7. If you're going to start and lead an ultimate raid group, don't bring friends where you're not sure if they can actually do the content. So case in point, when we did Uwu together, when you invited me to do UCOB, I was like honored, because that kind of meant to me, because you had already beaten both of them. It meant to me that you felt like I could hack, that I could do it. Because I don't think if you had a bad experience with me in Uwu, I don't think you would have gone all the way in learning UCOB with me. So I felt honored in that. You know, you got to have people that you can trust to do that, but then also have hard conversations. Like, if the people aren't pulling their weight, you got to make those tough choices and maybe cut people for the good and health of the group, so that the group can move forward. Being a lead in Ultimate is is a thankless job.
It's tough.
It's a tough thing, because you really got to manage. It's about the content. It's not about your friends. It's about doing the content, the hardest stuff in the game. So anybody that's a raid lead for an ultimate, more power to you. I tried doing it, twice now, and man, that's some rough stuff. So I don't think I'd ever do that again. Maybe we'll see. We got a UU coming up. Maybe I'll help lead that.
Well, hopefully,
and I still haven't done T.
Coming up. Yeah, you haven't done T. That's definitely true. Hopefully going a little bit off topic, but the UU DPS checks are a literal joke now.
Yeah,
they are actually a joke.
Yeah.
So UU hopefully is with a bunch of people. Like, I know if we bring in Mimi and Ultima, shout out, they'll be fine. And mostly anybody who Winnie brings is going to be people who probably already cleared, plus me, plus you. So I think UU is going to be a nice, easy time and a lot of fun. But hopefully that we can do something with that. Maybe when the next Savage tier has been farmed and we're good to go and we got some free time, hopefully we can get into that. But
there's still an ultimate plan for 6.3.
That's what Yoshi was saying. Yeah,
we might not have UU till 6.5.
little bonus topic to talk about. Little bonus quest. Yeah, they were talking about ultimate, and they did mention that there was something hopefully planned for 6.3, could potentially be pushed back to 6.5. I personally hope it's pushed back to 6.5. I really like when there is an ultimate to prog during the off season. Right? It's what we call it, in between from the last Savage tier to a new expansion, the off season, the long stretch.
Sure.
Right? I think that's a perfect time to do a new ultimate, or a perfect time to prog old ultimates. But if they, because man, going from doing Savage to Ultimate it burns anybody out.
Oh god, that's gonna be rough.
I'll do it
personally.
But man, it's rough.
Love raiding. It's one of my favorite things in this game. That and the main story quest. But yeah, it could be a little much, especially if you're trying to do both in a given patch cycle. Like if this 6.2 and you're still working on, like, you imagine.
Yeah.
All right, I got Ultimate, and then next day Savage, and then or you're doing both on the same day. It's like, oh, okay, that's just a little much. But hey, that's, choose what you want to do, and content will always be there. So
that's true. Yeah, the ultimates aren't going anywhere. So I just hope that both you and I can get Dragon Song done before.
It would
6.
be nice.
2.
I'd love to be a triple legend, and you hope. A quadruple legend would be dope.
Yes.
All right.
Because this one definitely is the hardest one, and so if we can get it done, then we truly are the best players. But
that's right. But now we want to hear from you all. What do you think of Ultimates? What do you think of Tark's list? Is it right on point? Would you change anything? Is he completely wrong? Drop a comment down below. Tell us what you think. And with that done, we are out of main quests. We have completed our quest for the week. So we're going to sign off here. Piers, tell people where they can find you.
They can find me. I think we said it's down there. No, it's down here. Yeah, right there. Radio Piers on Twitch. I do stream sometimes. It's something I've been trying to get back into. I know I'm a broken record when it comes to this. All the way back, you can go back to before we were doing Hydaelyn's Heroes, to our last show. I've been saying that I want to get more into it, but with this new move, with this new area that I've been getting acclimated to, it's been a process. But it's something hopefully I can do. I have to check to even see if my internet's strong enough to stream. Hopefully it is. I think it will be.
Okay.
Obviously, if it's strong enough to do something like this, I can probably do streaming. So if you do see me streaming, hop in, say hi. I really want to talk to you guys. Anything Final Fantasy, gaming in general. I'm super easy to talk to. And if you want to find me in Final Fantasy, of course, I am on the Leviathan server. Piers, right there. Harvey, that's me. If you see me, say hi. If you send me a tell, I'll get back to you. If you want to do anything in the game, let me know. I'm always on, and I'm always willing to hang out with you guys. So be sure to come on by. I would love to hear from you. But where can they find you, Tark? You got a bunch of stuff.
You could find me on all that stuff's down there, right there. Yep. Twitch, Twitter, YouTube, all at Tarkoth Gaming. Streaming Final Fantasy 14 5 days a week, Monday through Friday. And then Saturday and Sunday, you can find me on Ready Check Radio's site. and that's Raideo, where I've been recently playing Jedi Fallen Order. I want to say I'm at least halfway done. I love that game. That game's dope.
So good, dude. Like,
So good.
I'm super excited for Jedi
Survivor.
That's what it's called.
That announcement.
Outcast, but isn't there like another? Isn't there already a Jedi Outcast? Whatever. But yeah, it looks super good.
Yeah, that announcement of Jedi Survivor prompted me to get to this game and play. It's like, okay, I gotta get this one done, and I'm having a super fun time with it. So, but that's it for today. Thank you all for joining us. I hope we had a good time. But until next time, y'all take care of yourselves, stay safe, and we'll see you next time. End of line.
See you guys.